And please help us to reduce plastic and waste throughout the session by refilling your water bottles at our dispensers and avoiding the use of straws. You will find sustainable food options in our cafeteria on the first floor and at the local food stalls set up in our garden and on the ground floor. Ladies and gentlemen, we will begin shortly. Kindly take your seats and turn off your mobile phones. Thank you. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, we will begin shortly. Kindly take your seats and turn off your mobile phones. Thank you. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Kindly take your seats and turn off your mobile phones. We will begin now. Thank you. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, good morning and welcome to the 74th session of the Economic and Social Commission for Asia and the Pacific. Please join me in welcoming Ms. Shamshed Akhtar, Under-Secretary General of the United Nations and Executive Secretary of the Economic and Social Commission for Asia and the Pacific, and Mr. Mitch Shea, Secretary of the Commission. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, I now invite Ms. Shamshed Akhtar, Executive Secretary of ESCAP, to deliver her opening statement.
Good morning to everyone, distinguished delegates. Like my colleague, let me warmly welcome you to the 74th session of Economic and Social Commission for Asia and the Pacific. As you all know, the world has emerged from global financial crisis in our region. The positive impact of a broad-based economy is palpable, but the damage done has yet to be repaired fully. So the region needs more robust, sustainable, and balanced growth and strong regulatory oversight to protect itself against emerging risks and new global uncertainties. Fast-tracking the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development more vigorously is critical. Balanced, equitable development delivered through stronger social and environment policies is the only way to eradicate poverty and growing inequalities. With this objective in mind, let me share our analysis of the critical issues facing the region on which we need to focus. I will then touch upon how the ESCAP Secretariat has repositioned itself to support you in your efforts to overcome these challenges. Over the past 4 years, our region has remained the engine of global growth. It continues to demonstrate resilience and dynamism. 2/3 of the region's economies, accounting for more than 80% of the GDP, grew faster in 2017 than the previous year. Bolstered by a global recovery, the outlook for the region in 2018 is equally positive. The growth of the region's least developed countries accelerated to 6.8% in 2017. We expect these countries' growth to continue at such a rate in the near future within a cat's whisker of the 7% target of the Istanbul Programme of Action for Least Developed Countries. 10 of the region's least developed countries have met the criteria for graduation. Though the challenges to sustain growth remain due to structural weaknesses and suboptimal business environments. For regional economies to stay on course, several risks will need to be carefully managed. Domestically, the smooth transition of political cycles and the acceleration of structural reforms will be key to deal with structural weaknesses on a timely basis. Continued attention to enhancing domestic demand calls for more investment and policy measures to strengthen the region's competitiveness. Economy and trade need to be diversified, infrastructure development and commercial exchanges facilitated, and business environments in particular need to be improved. International uncertainties remain. A weaker dollar, higher oil prices, inflationary and interest rate pressures all complicate macroeconomic management in different orders. Rising protectionism and growing private and corporate debt, in some cases even sovereign debts, could induce balance of payment vulnerabilities. To support robust and sustained growth and meet the funding requirements of sustainable infrastructure, fiscal policy will need to remain flexible and accommodative. A renewed effort is warranted to increase tax to GDP ratios and redistribute spending to lift productivity and reduce inequalities. Tax revenues in some of our countries can be as low as 10% of GDP, half the global developing country average. So reforming taxation systems and their governance is key. This would increase both the tax take and people's willingness to contribute. If Asia-Pacific economies had the same tax efficiency as OECD countries, revenues could be increased by as much as 8% of GDP in some countries. This would allow public expenditure to be made more efficient and progressive, and the proceeds of growth, hence, will be shared more widely. Over the medium term, growth potential needs to be lifted by efforts to improve productivity. Risks which could jeopardize such an increase include: 1, demographic dynamics leading to rapid population and rapidly aging population. 2, frontier technologies offer many opportunities, but are already impacting on job markets and could aggravate inequalities. 3, an evolving international climate in which the value of globalization is being questioned by nationalists and insular vested interests. 4, the deleterious consequences of climate change, sea level rises, floods, and increasingly frequent and severe natural disasters. Indeed, small island developing states remain vulnerable to economic and climate-related shocks. Remoteness from world markets and a lack of productive capacity remain a perpetual problem. These constraints and limited capacities weigh on their economies, which combined with structural challenges make them more susceptible to conflicts. Poverty, income inequalities, lack of employment opportunities, and chronic landlessness, particularly in rural, poorer regions and marginalized communities, threaten fragile countries. 11 countries in Asia and the Pacific region have crossed the high-risk threshold on the Index for Risk Management, of which 5 are countries with special needs. The complexities of managing peace have called for the UN system to harness the nexus between development and sustaining peace. The progress towards furthering peace on the Korean Peninsula has captured the imagination of the world. But humanitarian crises continue to unfold. Sustained peace is a prerequisite of sustainable development. The responsibility for preventing conflict from becoming violent lies primarily with national governments. But international and regional organizations have a key role to play through quality development advice, risk analysis, and cost-effective strategies to conflict prevention, while working to develop focused long-term development responses and cooperative arrangements. At ESCAP, we remain fully focused on strengthening our risk-based analysis to support sustainable development to address the root causes of conflicts and hence cast our development responses accordingly. One of the major risks in this context is growing inequality in Asia and the Pacific. Our region's remarkable economic success story belies a widening gap between rich and poor. Over 30 years, the Gini coefficient increased in 4 of our most populous countries, home to over 70% of the region's population. Human, societal, and economic costs are growing and are real. Had income inequality not increased over the past decade, close to 140 million more people could have been lifted out of poverty. Hence, I applaud you for your wisdom to get us to do a thematic report on inequality. If not tackled urgently, the poverty gap will persist and increase and could thwart our ambition to achieve sustainable development. ESCAP analysis shows an integrated, coordinated response can over time return our economies and our societies to a sustainable footing. At its heart must be greater investment in people. Access to health care and education must be improved. Only a healthy population can study, work, and become more prosperous. The universal basic healthcare schemes established by Bhutan and Thailand are success stories to build on. Expanding social protection to low-income families through cash transfers could help underpin a healthy society. Increasing investment in education is fundamental to both development and equality. The key to success is making secondary education genuinely accessible and affordable. Where universal access has been achieved, the focus must be on improving quality, upskilling teachers and improving courses, and tailoring education to future labor markets and now frontier technologies. Information and communication technology, ICT, is a rapidly expanding sector. It can quicken the pace of development, but it is also creating a digital divide which must be bridged. So investment in ICT infrastructure is needed to support the development and use of innovative technologies and ensure no one is left behind. Put simply, we need better broadband access across our region. Geography should not determine opportunity. Climate change, disasters, and environmental degradation are pushing people back into poverty and can entrench inequality. In response, climate adaptation in the region's disaster hotspots ought to be a high priority, along with targeted policies to mitigate the impacts of environmental degradation on those most vulnerable, particularly air pollution. Better urban planning, regular school health checkups in poorer neighborhoods, and legislation guaranteeing the right to a clean, safe, and healthy environment should be part of our response. Our social policies advocated at ESCAP have to be more comprehensive to take into account this agenda. The robust growth that Asia-Pacific continues to enjoy gives us an opportunity to take decisive action across all these areas. Recognizing the challenges and realities, ESCAP, as you are fully aware, adopted a multi-pronged strategy in 2014, backed by two tracks, of course, 2030 Agenda and Regional Cooperation and Integration Promotion. This framework provides holistic advice and policy support for the implementation of 2030 Agenda in the region. On one hand, we have broadened and deepened our analytical and normative work. Over the last 4 years, member states were provided with 126 publications and 1,025 knowledge products. I believe this is underestimated still. These have included thematic reports on relevant topical subjects, as well as regular flagship reports focusing on economic, social, environmental, and trade outlooks. We have raised the bar on quality and diversity of policy advice, and remain steadfastly focused on the national and regional transformations, which needs to be now supported by a stronger political will to pursue multilateralism through open, liberal, and transparent macroeconomic, trade, and sector policies to lift productivity and resource efficiency. In parallel, we advocated, one, leveraging all critical sources of financing in a better way, and advocating tax policy shifts to promote equity, tightening legislative and regulatory loopholes to curb revenue losses, rationalizing incentives and business frameworks to develop diversified and sustainable industrial solutions. Two, we have raised, with your support, the ambition of regional cooperation and integration, key to enhancing political and social harmony in our region. ESCAP has enhanced its support for regional connectivity and advocated the development of sustainable and climate-friendly infrastructure backed by smart and intelligent solutions for movement of goods and people, fostering market integration and enhancing frameworks for financing cooperation to strengthen financial systems at national level and addressing, hence, the systemic risk which can happen in our corridors or it could happen globally, but it impacts us more if we do not have strong financial systems. Given exposure to shared set of vulnerabilities, disaster risk resilience frameworks are being enhanced in the region. My third point, harnessing the nexus between development and sustaining peace through a mitigation framework that helps address the multidimensional risks to reduce regions' fragility and susceptibility to conflict. Four, developing greater understanding of how emerging frontier technologies can help lift the region's productivity and efficiency while dealing with the attendant dislocations and disruptions of labor and manufacturing base through reskilling and economic diversification. My fifth point is that within the domain of social policies, the region has to grapple with twin challenges of how to better leverage demographic dividend by empowering our youth while dealing with the risk associated with an aging population and augmenting social safety nets for them, but also looking at other vulnerable segments of our population, including the disabilities that are quite overwhelming in our region, close to 1 billion. The enhancement of ESCAP's evidence and policy-making role, along with the reorganization of ESCAP's conference structure you approved, has helped raise the quality of our intergovernmental engagement. With your support, our capacity engagement and technical cooperation programs now offer high-quality, new and improved services across the 3 dimensions of sustainable development and also relate to the integrative element, a more complex task at hand. This has to be all deployed in mainstreaming SDGs in planning, fiscal and financial policies, and working towards policy coherence and integration and making governments work as a whole and not in silos. Having lived now within the UN premises for some years, I know how difficult it is to break the silos. ESCAP continues to pursue multilateralism by supporting harmonized rules and regulations, developing and operationalizing trade and businesses, and developing knowledge-based tools and instruments to effectively respond to challenges. With these remarks, let me conclude. I am proud to report we have positioned ESCAP to support an accelerated transition to an inclusive, sustainable, and prosperous future for people across Asia and the Pacific. Working with UN-wide, private sector, and country partnerships. No one can do it alone. To continue doing so, we need your continued guidance, commitment, and active support. The world is looking at our region, given its track record, for a strong regional drive to harness multilateralism and global governance for shared prosperity, a subject matter of this commission at the ministerial level. I'm personally looking forward to your deliberations in the days ahead so that we can further enhance, augment, and tweak our agenda to service you better. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Executive Secretary, for your statement. I now invite the Executive Secretary to conduct the remainder of this meeting.
I know you all have been working late nights, so my team said that I should work hard now. So, distinguished representatives, ladies and gentlemen, with your permission, we will now consider agenda item 1B, the election of the Bureaus of Senior Officials segment. The bureaus consist of the chairs and vice chairs of the Committee of the Whole 1 and 2, as well as the Working Group on Draft Resolutions. May I request distinguished delegates to make their nominations. I see the flag of Kazakhstan.
Thank you very much, Madam Executive Secretary. First of all, I would like to congratulate you on all participants with the beginning of 74th section, and I wish you and all the participants all the best. And taking into account the importance of the two commissions of the whole and the working group of the on the draft resolution, as well as the experience and seniority of the delegation, I have the honor to propose the election on the following distinguished representative for the Bureau and of the senior official segment. Committee of the Whole 1, Chair, Mr. Penny Savin Nehama, Principal Foreign Service Officer, Minister of Foreign Affairs, Fiji, Vice Chairs, Mr. Hamra Khairola, Joint Secretary of the National Planning Commission, Nepal, Second Vice Chair, Mr. Tenzin Wangchuk, Director, Department of Multilateral Affairs, Minister of Foreign Affairs, Bhutan, Committee of the Whole 2, Chair, Mr. Anuradha Mitra, Additional Secretary and Financial Advisor, Minister of Electronic and Information Technology, India, Vice Chairs, Mr. Kania Kamankun, Deputy Director General, Department of International Organization, Laos People Democratic Republic. Second Vice Chair, Mr. Mohamed Hadi Daraine, Deputy for International Affairs, Center for Communication, Public Relations and International Affairs, Islamic Republic of Iran. And for working group on draft resolution, I propose Chair Her Excellency Mr. Saida Munat Tasnim, Ambassador Extraordinary and Parliamentary and Permanent Representative of Bangladesh to ESCAP, and Vice Chair Mr. Li Hong, Permanent Representative of the People's Republic of China to ESCAP. And I'm sure that the distinguished delegates which I have proposed will discharge their duties effectively and for the successful deliberation of the respective committees and working group. Thank you very much, Madam Executive Secretary, for giving opportunity. Thank you.
I give the floor to Vietnam. Distinguished delegate, the floor is yours.
Madam Executive Secretary, since this is the first time I'm taking the floor, I would like to express our sincere thanks to the UN the ESCAP Secretariat and the Thailand, the host country, for the excellent arrangement of this session. Regarding the position of the bureaus, Madam Executive Secretary, I have great pleasure in seconding the nomination which have been just proposed by the distinguished delegate of Kazakhstan for the various positions of the bureau. I thank you, Madam Secretary.
Thank you. Are there any further nominations? If none, it is my great pleasure to declare that for Committee of the Whole One, as proposed by the Kazakhstan Ambassador, Her Excellency, Mr. Penny Suvinakama, Principal Foreign Service Officer, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Fiji, will serve as the chair. And the two vice chairs will be Mr. Komraj Koroila, Joint Secretary of the National Planning Commission of Nepal, and Mr. Tanzin Wangchok, Director, Department of Multilateral Affairs, Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Bhutan. For Committee of the Whole Two, as proposed again, for chair is Ms. Anuradha Mitra, Additional Secretary and Financial Advisor, Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, India. The two vice chairs proposed are Mr. Kanya Kamukhon, Deputy Director General, Department of International Organization, Laos People's Democratic Republic, Mr. Mohammad Hadi Duriai, Deputy for International Affairs, Center for Communication, Public Relations, and International Affairs, Islamic Republic of Iran. For Working Group on Draft Resolution as proposed, Her Excellency Ms. Saida Mona Tasneem, Ambassador Extraordinary and Permanent Representative of Bangladesh to ESCAP. As Vice Chair will be Mr. Li Hong, Permanent Representative of the People's Republic of China to ESCAP. Let us take a minute to congratulate all the members of the Bureau by acclamation. Distinguished representatives, ladies and gentlemen, with your permission, and as has been advised by the Secretary of the Commission, I will retain the chair for the next item, 1C, adoption of the agenda. The provisional agenda is contained in document ESCAP CS74/L1 Rev 1. Are there any comments on the agenda? Okay, if none, let me announce that the agenda is so adopted. I now request the Secretary of the Commission to deal with some of the crucial announcements.
Thank you, Madam Executive Secretary, and good morning to everybody. And a very, very warm welcome to the 74th session of the Commission. I have several announcements, so please bear with me this morning. First, on side events, I am pleased to announce that, as we do every year, we have additional side events that are being held at the initiative of a few of our members. At noon today, the Republic of Korea will be hosting an event on the measurement and monitoring of well-being. This event will be held in the public foyer downstairs. Tomorrow, the government of Mongolia is hosting an event on regional integration for landlocked developing countries at 12 o'clock in conference room 4, also on the first floor. There will be a side event hosted by Bangladesh after the opening of the ministerial segment on Monday, the 14th of May. Their event will be on least developed countries graduation, and it will be held in conference room 4. Moving to Tuesday at lunchtime, there will be 2 events sponsored by the government of Japan. Both of these events will also be held in conference room 4. The first event, starting at 12 noon, is on disaster early warning information, perspectives from the Pacific. The second event, starting at 1 p.m., will look at challenges and opportunities to population aging in our region. Finally, also Tuesday, starting at 1 p.m., the Islamic Republic of Iran is hosting an event on disaster information management and sustainable development in the public foyer. We have provided detailed information on each of these side events, as well as other activities that are going on during the week on our Commission website and the touchscreens that are located around the UN Conference Center. On the exhibition, as you all know, this year the theme topic is on inequality in the era of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. The Secretariat has prepared an exhibition on the theme topic, and we invite all the delegates in attendance to visit the exhibition area outside of this main hall on this level. We also have a few other initiatives by member states, including one from Thailand. Thailand has one on this year's theme topic called Innovative Financing for Health Promotion, another exhibit on the policy from the Royal Thai government to reduce inequality, as well as an exhibition on the sufficiency economy philosophy for the implementation of sustainable development goals. And Bangladesh also has set up an exhibition as well in the same vicinity. These are all located downstairs on the first floor of the conference center. I would like to take a moment to just remind everybody that the Commission will be electing the governing councils for 2 of our regional institutions. One is the Asian and Pacific Training Center for Information and Communication Technology for Development, APC-ICT, as well as the Center for Sustainable Agriculture Mechanization, CSAM. Please note that in accordance with the statutes of both APC-ICT and CSAM, the host country, in this case the Republic of Korea and China, respectively, both of them are automatically a member of the Governing Council, and the Commission this year will elect 8 additional members for each of the Governing Councils. All members and associate members of ESCAP are welcome to express their interest in joining the Governing Councils by submitting a completed nomination form that can be accessed via the Commission website. These forms should be provided to us at the Secretariat no later than 12 noon tomorrow, Saturday, the 12th of May. I'm happy to inform everybody that so far the Secretariat has received nominations for APC ICT. The following candidate countries are Bangladesh, Cambodia, India, Indonesia, the Philippines, the Russian Federation, Sri Lanka, Thailand, and Vanuatu. If I've omitted anybody inadvertently, please let me know. But also there are still opportunities to submit additional nominations. For CSAM, we've received nominations from Bangladesh, Cambodia, India, Malaysia, Pakistan, the Philippines, Vanuatu, and Vietnam. The balloting for these elections will be conducted on Tuesday, 15th of May, in Conference Room 1, this particular room, between 2 and 4 p.m. So I do encourage everybody to please remember to vote, and a reminder to each of the nominee countries to also to remember to vote for yourself. Lastly, well, almost lastly, I am pleased to inform everybody that the Executive Secretary will be hosting a gala reception on Monday evening in the dining room on the first floor here of the UN Conference Center. This reception is open for all participants of the Commission. I hope you've received the invitation card to the reception when you checked in. Your liaison officers may also assist you in this regard. And then just again a reminder, on Tuesday night, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Royal Thai Government will be hosting its annual reception for all participants at the ministry itself. Transportation has been arranged. There will be buses to bring participants between here, the conference center, and the ministry. And finally, one of the very most important announcements I have is that on Monday, Monday is the Royal Ploughing ceremony, an official holiday here in Thailand. And we've been advised by the government that the main road outside of our building, Rajadamnern Avenue, is expected to be closed to traffic starting at 9 a.m. So this unfortunately coincides with the opening of our ministerial segment. So we do encourage everybody to try to arrive on Monday morning by 8:45 if you can. This is to avoid getting stuck in any road closures for any motorcades or anything like that. Lastly, we will continue with the work of this commission in 2 committees of the whole. For everybody's information, Committee of the Whole 1 will convene immediately after this opening in this hall, and Committee of the Whole 2 will be meeting in Conference Room 2 next door. Both of these will begin with the consideration of Agenda Item 3. Should there be any time left over in the afternoon, the Working Group on Draft Resolutions will begin work in this same room immediately after the conclusion of the work of Committee of the Whole 1. Thank you for your attention, everybody. Thank you.
So with these announcements, this round of the meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Statement to go to me.
Go to the next room, so the forms also have to be submitted there.
예, 취부시면 똑같다. 같이 비슷하니까 나는 뭐라 그러는 거 있노?
나 저거 폼 봐줘. But and then an email get this about it. Any email them the statement.
아, 저기 나나 되고. 가라 가서 출로 비면 날라. 비면 날라.
아, 우리는 휴대 땅들 거.
나가 아니면 뭐.
엘렉트로메
아니면 뭐.
Yes.
Yeah, I know you have too much going on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, 11 here in front of
In
CR1,
front of, just
yeah?
outside, yeah.
Okay, you know which looks like?
Yeah.
Oh, perfect. Will you be coming, are you going back to office or?
No,
will
I'll
you
be
coming
milling
from
around
office?
here.
You
I'll
will
be
be
milling.
around here? Because I will, okay, anyway, I will see you with her and I will catch you. I'll come earlier a bit.
Okay.
Okay, thanks Mitch, see you later.
And one more information, the election will be in
Election will be on Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Yeah, and the balloting will take place here.
Balloting.
Yeah, there'll be ballot boxes.
Yes.